as you continue to embrace Office 365, backup should be a concern of yours. Now, we just assume that somebody else is doing that backup for us. But today, what I'm going to talk you through, a very simple, easy to do daily backup for your SharePoint list. And this actually feeds into, at the end of the video, we're actually going to go through deleting data as well. And then this ties into a weekly backup as well. So stay tuned. Lots of exciting stuff here. We're going to go through how to back up your SharePoint lists easily without any administrator rights. You can just do it yourself. So stay tuned. We're going to jump right to it. So let's go ahead. This is a step-by-step guide. Again, if you listen in the video, listen through the video, you're going to find a link, a URL that will let you download this manual just as you see it right here on the screen. So please take advantage of that. And it is a visual guide. So follow the pictures. Everybody can follow pictures. Just follow the pictures and you should be good to go. Very little reading to do. Just follow the screenshots. So let's go ahead and do that ourselves. We're going to go ahead and go into SharePoint to the group of, to the area that we want to create these backup lists. So a backup list is a secondary list to your live list, to your active list. And we're going to do that right here. I'm going to show you how to do that here in SharePoint. It's pretty simple. Just go on into SharePoint, hit Site, Contents, hit New List, do from an existing list. Now this list here that we're going to create this from is from this site and this. Now I'm going to show you this in real life, so stay tuned here. But we're going to click on that and hit Next, and then we're going to name it right here, Bud Notes. So I'm backing up my notes. Backup daily is what Bud stands for. And you're just going to say, don't show that in navigation, and then we're going to hit Create. Okay? And then we're going to go into PowerAutomate. We're going to create a script there. But let's start with that SharePoint stuff and walk you through that real quick here. So to get to SharePoint, we're just going to click here on SharePoint. And I know it's here somewhere. There it is right there. And we're going to go to the site that we want to do in it. Mine happens to be personal. And here's site contents that we went over. And then we're going to go here to New List. And we're going to create the list. Now when you come up here, you're going to say From Existing. And then you're going to point to that actual list that you want to copy. So for me, it was this notes list right here. And then I hit Next. And it's going to ask me to name it. And then I hit go and it'll create it. And the reason why we do that is because when we look at this list, we want it to be exactly like the other list. Exactly, 100% like the other list. So the reason for that is because we're literally going to copy and delete content rows out of this list. So we want to make sure it's 100% accurate. So the best way to do that is just create it, and it'll just create a blank template for us. Easy enough, right? Now we go through this the manual here actually has you do the weekly one as well, called BUW notes. So this is the weekly. So we're going to do the same thing, repeat the same steps. We're going to create BUW notes. And if you look here inside of my environment here, you go into site contents, and here you have Bud notes and backup weekly notes. Now you can see here, I just created this run right here of the notes themselves, and we're going to run this just so you can see that it actually runs. I'm going to say here to run. Now you can run this anytime. I'm going to show you how we're going to schedule it, but you can run it anytime. I'm just going to go ahead and hit run that for us right now. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit run flow and hit let it rip. Okay, so now it's going to go ahead and populate out this list. And if you see here, Bud notes, if I hit F5 real quick, you'll probably see a couple records come in. So it's already done 13 records. It takes about 2 minutes to do about 230 files. So just kind of keep that in mind. Deletes a little bit slower. Doesn't delete quite as fast. But let's go ahead and go into Planner itself, and into PowerAutomate itself, and take a look at what that script is doing. So let's look right here at Backup Data Daily. And then we're going to look at Delete Data Daily. So let's go ahead and go back to our master list here so you can follow along with us. Here we're going to create, and we're going to do this as a scheduled flow, meaning that I want it to run at a specific time. We're going to talk about that. We're going to create this. We're going to hit Advanced Options. Then we're going to set our time zone and the time. Now this is important because we want this to run at a specific time for us, right? Because we want to copy at one time and then delete at another time. So we want to obviously delete last night's stuff in the daily backup, you know, a couple hours before we back up. So that's how we do that. And then we're going to set the recurrence here. And you can see I'm going to call out my list. And then I'm going to point to the file. Now this, I'm getting the items from the list that I want to back up. And I'm putting this top count in there at 1,000. You can put it at anything you like, but I'm putting it at 1,000. And then we're going to go ahead and create the SharePoint. But let's stop there and go back and let you see what I'm doing here. So let's check on that list, by the way. We've probably talked for 2 minutes. And we'll see we're at 150 right now. So that's good. All right, so backup daily. We're going to go ahead and click there. Now, I've already built this, so I'm not going to rebuild it for you, hence the reason why you have these step-by-step instructions, but let's walk through it. Recurrence here, you can see I'm running it at 4 a.m. every day. I'm backing up my daily data at 4 o'clock. If I hit edit, you can see all those options that I picked. Here's 4 o'clock. If you just click down there, you can see 4 o'clock. You can see Central Standard Time, which is where I am. I'm doing it at a frequency of every day. Pretty simple. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close that recurrence, and I'm going to go into Get Items. Now, for me, you can see the Get Items there. You can see it's blurred out, but it's where your SharePoint list would be. And you would just click on that down arrow, right? The down arrow right here. And then for the notes themselves, the list, excuse me, just click on there and pick out the list that you want. Pretty simple. When we go to Advanced Options, we can set the top count to 1,000. That means that it's only going to collect the first 1,000 of those notes. You can set this to anything that you want. It says that if you leave it blank, it means all, but that has never been my experience. I always put a number in there. All right, so let's go back over here and see where we're at on our instructions. So here we've gone ahead and got our items. We did that top count like I just showed you. Now we're going to create the item. Remember here, we're getting the item. We're getting it from notes. Now I want to create the item. I'm going to call out my site name again and my list. And you can see it here, and there's Bud Notes. So you can see Bud there. And then you just click inside each one of these, search for note, click on note. And then you fill the rest of them out, and I think I've filled them all out. Well, here I show you one last time here. You click on there, click in date, right? And then here are all of them. Notice that they're all exactly the same. So this makes life a lot easier, so you know exactly what fields are going in what place, because remember, we copied the original list. So this backup list is literally the same exact construct as the notes list. So it makes it very easy. Everything matches up perfectly. Alrighty, and then that's it for that. So let's go ahead and take a look here real quick. Click on Apply to Each, and you click on Create Item. Now within Create Item, you can see all the data here. And remember, to add a piece of data, we pick the list. It's blurred out, but we pick the list here. And then we pick here, we pick the site. And then we pick the list. And then to do this, right, remember we just click on there, and then this comes up, and then we can just search for whatever we want. Let's say, for example, title. We want that. We just click on title, and it goes in. It's pretty simple. So look at the guide, and then when we get done, we can click back up here and hit save, and then we can run the test. And the test, we just hit test, hit manual, test, and away we go. I'm not going to test it, because we already tested it right before we started. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Here we're at 150. Let's refresh this screen. Should be at 229. Indeed, it is. So exactly what we set up right there. We haven't made any modifications. It ran. No issues at all. So that's as easy as it is. And let's go ahead and do this, finish this out. So here are the fields that you want. Now I reference here and kind of highlight something here that you want to be aware of. A SharePoint list can only hold 5,000 lines. So you need to be mindful of that. And about 230 lines takes about 2 minutes to back up. So if you have a big list, you need to account that it's going to take some time to back that bad boy up and to delete it. Now, see other videos. We're not going to do it in this video because it's running a little long now, but here's the delete the data in the SharePoint list. So if you Google that, for example, or Bing it, whatever search engine you use, and you look for this exact phrase here, I bet you'd probably find it if you search for this number as well. But that's the next one, or just look at the channel. The information's there.